All right, welcome to another video. This is take two. I thought I forgot to upload the third video in my series, but I see it right. I just forgot to add it to the playlist. So to see this series I'm working on now, you just go to my channel, you click on playlists, and then you click on this experienced technology professional. They'll click here because they'll just see one video with the playlist panel. If you click here, then you get the plan. Um, And then I'm just gonna change this to be plan because that exercise is word is not good. Especially since what we're doing here in this series, kind of the whole uh, idea behind this series is we're getting away from books, we're getting away from RFCs, and we're trying to lean in more towards things like Anki, like space repetition software, because it gets in your head. It makes it stick. I found, first of all, I can only get halfway through a dull, boring, dry book with typos everywhere, and tutorial and walkthroughs that don't work. Um, and then of that 50% of the book I get through, I only remember, if I'm lucky, 10%. So it's just a time sink. It's a waste of time. Nobody cares that you read a book. They only care about what you actually did in the real world and what you can do right now. So that's where I want to shift this channel to, the here and now. Um, Having my things I can point to in this channel be more tangible. I don't want to send somebody a video saying, here's a book I read, here's a tutorial I read, because they're just going to ask me about the book and I'm going to have to say, I don't remember because it was a dry, boring book and I read it, but I did not enjoy it or remember anything I read. So if I can point back to a project and be like, hey, I use this every day, like, or like, hey, I got referrals from people on this open source project that are like famous people, like for example, Steve Combs. I think his name is Steve. Uh, uh, no, Gerald. His name is Gerald. So for example, like Gerald Combs, like if he says like, yeah, this is the guy that did that. This guy's amazing. That's more important to me than uh, having read a book. Or even having done a tutorial. So like those are just going to be what we do to contribute to these projects, and they're going to be incidentally used, and they're not going to be a main focus the way they were before. So that's what I want to do. The plan to do that is we're going to spend about 10 minutes each video reading a blog or a technology news article, so that we can uh, uh, do the 10 most important things to do, uh, so that we can have the knowledge that is most important for an experienced technology professional. And there are 10 things according to this chatbot. The first thing is understanding the current emerging trends and technologies. So to do that, we're going to spend 10 minutes each uh, video finding a blog to read out loud. So under technical development here, I have a bunch of blogs we can go through to do that. So I can open them all in a new tab group, and then we can every video go and pick out an article. It'd be kind of cool to be able to randomize the order of this, so we're not constantly looking at text spot. But I could do something like there's what, 3, 6, 9, 10, there's 11, so I could do like a random roll of dice or something to look at that one first, and then or change the order that way. But yeah, that's the first thing. The second thing we want to do, so in-depth knowledge of specific technology and related components. We're going to do that by going into depth into technical literature. See, now this here, I think I might want to edit eventually because, as I said, I want to get away from focusing on the technical literature. Obviously, I don't want to get away from using the technical literature. It's really important, RTFM, but I just don't want that to be the focus of this channel because I don't think technical literature is meant to be used that way, where reading the technical literature in and of itself is what you're trying to accomplish. I think that's a misuse of the technical literature, and it's there to help you accomplish other things. So, like, that's how I want to change step two. I want to accomplish some other things besides just reading a book or whatever technical literature is out there. And I want to use what I've learned from reading that to apply practically to a project or something hands-on or something I can really brag about in the future. So like an open source project, low-hanging fruit for me, Wireshark. Um, oops, I already have, what are they called? Write permissions on the Wireshark wiki. So uh, I don't, I can just make edits at will without asking for special permission. So here's the Wireshark wiki. It's absolute garbage the last time I looked at it, which was granted like many years ago, but we know what ARP is. Um, so we can see that oh, okay, the ARP is actually filled out pretty well. Um, was it me who filled it out? No, okay, it looks like somebody named Chuck Kraft 2 years ago did some good things with it. So ANSI, I believe that's yeah. So it looks like there has been some good development on this about 2 years ago. So unfortunately, I probably missed my opportunity to kind of use this as a brig, but um, I'm sure there's still stuff that needs updating. Um, yeah, like this was looks like it was updated in 2025, and it um, looks kind of like it's not filled out that much. Here we go. This one's perfect. So we can say right. We can even use the chat bot. So write a brief description of Border Gateway Protocol. Yeah. So this is perfect. Um, Now the thing is, this lies to you, so you got to be careful about just copying and pasting this without um, giving it some scrutiny first. Um, but right now there's nothing here, so this this could be some low-hanging fruit to get some bragging rights that I contributed to the wiki, and then it's a repository, so it's like they're gonna look it over and approve it. So it's not like you're just um, it's not like you are making up something to brag about and you don't have real bragging rights. Like you're working with these people that helped to create Wireshark, which is a pretty big deal. Okay, so yep, that's step two. Getting hands-on practice using. So that's kind of these are going to have to change. The thing that I don't want to change though is at the end or whenever, probably at the end, doing 10 minutes of Anki flashcards. Um, I think sandwiching this with starting to read and kind of get up to date and industry news, especially looking for news stories that are relevant to like whatever project I'm working on or whatever technology I'm focusing on learning. and then finishing out each video with doing Anki cards. Really, really important. Okay, so this video is going to be diving in deeper to the third the third answer to the question, what are the top 10 things an experienced technology professional wants to know? So the third is the ability to solve complex technical problems. So let's take a look at that. How can I gain the ability to solve complex technical problems? So one answer might be refresh the browser and solve the complex technical problem of this AI not being able to provide me an answer. I'm just kidding. So to gain the ability to solve complex technical problems, it is important to have a good understanding of the fundamentals and principles of the technology involved. So that's a good question to keep in mind. If I'm ever working on something, I can ask the chatbot, what are the fundamentals and principles of X, of whatever I'm working on, and dive into each of those. So I can kind of unblock myself um, and get unstuck on a problem just by reviewing those fundamental principles. It is also important to have a thorough knowledge of the various tools and technologies available. So that's another good thing to ask it, which tools and technologies are most important for X, as well as the ability to analyze and troubleshoot problems. Additionally, and even there, you can ask, how do I analyze and troubleshoot X? Additionally, it is important to have good problem solving skills and be able to think critically and logically. Um, Finally, it is beneficial to have experience with debugging and troubleshooting, as well as experience designing and developing software. With knowledge, experience, and practice, you can gain the ability to solve complex technological problems. Okay, so let's make a note of that. We're going to open just plain old notepad because I don't want anything to try to take over my attention. I just want a blank page that I'm going to fill in myself. Don't want to be asked for updates or anything like that. So let's see here. And we're going to write down some questions that'll be really important during the troubleshooting process that we can ask to these AIs. So what are the fundamentals and principles of X? That's a good one. Okay, so the next thing we can ask it, what tools and technologies are available for X? That's a good question. Another good question is, how can I better analyze and troubleshoot X? Okay. Yeah, that one, I guess we can ask that this one now and not really include it. So how um, can I get good problem solving skills and be able to think critically and logically? That's one I can ask now, but maybe not necessarily important in the moment while troubleshooting something. At least not as important as those other questions. It's beneficial to have experience with debugging and troubleshooting, as well as experience designing and developing software. With knowledge, so you can gain. Okay. Okay. Well, another question I think is, what is the best way to gain knowledge, experience, and practice with X? So that one is going to go in the description to this. This one is not. We're just going to ask that here. Okay, so can refresh usually. That's fine. Okay, so developing good problem-solving skills and being able to think critically and logically requires practice and dedication. Hence this channel. To get started, try breaking down complex problems into smaller, manageable chunks. Yep, that's a good one. As a juggler, I certainly know that, and as a musician, I certainly know that as well. So these AIs are really, really good, and you do that to make it easier to tackle. For example, in music, like in viola, if you're playing a difficult passage, it's going to be difficult for multiple reasons. It'll be difficult for reasons in your left hand, and it'll be difficult for reasons in your right hand. So what you want to do is pick one first. I would probably suggest working on the right hand first, because once you get that right hand nice and solid, it's going to make the in this case it's for the viola, it's going to make the things you're doing with your left hand um, like more clear and better. So just play open strings, just play whatever you want to play, but take the left hand difficulty out of the equation and learn it with the right hand. Um, Even the rhythms, for example, if you have like a slurred bow and then separate bows, but you're playing separate notes, just practice that slurred separate bowing and play something different than you are trying to play, but something that is smaller and in a more manageable chunk to make it easier to learn. And then once you have that down, build it up into the full thing. It can also be helpful to practice brainstorming and use of the scientific method. That's a good one too, to identify a range of potential solutions and strategies. Additionally, it can be beneficial to research the topic and read about different ways of approaching the problem. Finally, it is important to keep an open mind and to be willing to consider different perspectives and solutions. With practice and dedication, you can develop small or you can develop strong problem solving skills and learn to think critically and logically. So that's a good answer. I'm kind of curious to learn more about brainstorming and the use of the scientific method. So I'm going to ask it, teach me more about practical brainstorming and use of the scientific method to identify a range of, yeah. So it's taking a nap right now. I will, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just gonna go to u.com in another tab, so it's not saving that. I need to see that. I need to see the brain. Oh, here we go. I don't know why it's so hard to see something that's bright blue. Okay. Okay, so brainstorming is a process in which a group of people come together to generate ideas or solutions to a problem. It is a great way to generate a wide range of potential solutions to a problem and can be a valuable tool when used in conjunction with the scientific method. The scientific method involves forming a hypothesis, testing the hypothesis, and then drawing conclusions based on the results of the tests. The process can be used So here's a good question. How can I use the scientific method to solve my problem X? Or just to solve X? There we go. So that's a good question. So the process can be used to identify potential solutions to a problem and potential strategies to implement those solutions. It's important to remember that the scientific process is a process of experimentation and observation and should be used to confirm or disprove potential solutions rather than to generate them. That's a good point right there. I'm really glad I brought that out. So like if you're, for example, if you're really sure something to be true, it's really important that you do experiments and observations that instead of just confirming that the thing is always true, that will uh uh if the thing happened not to be true, you can make that determination from your observation and experiments. So like there's something called confirmation bias, and it's easy to accidentally set up an experiment where it's more likely to confirm your existing belief than it is to actually find something that's truthful. So that's just a thing in science that is hard to overcome sometimes. When using the scientific method in conjunction with brainstorming, it is important to keep an open mind and ensure that all ideas are considered and discussed. Allowing the group to explore a range of potential solutions and strategies is important, as this will increase the likelihood of finding the best solution to the problem. Additionally, it is important to ensure that all ideas are discussed openly and without judgment. This will help create an environment of collaboration and creativity, which will further enhance the brainstorming process. Yeah, this is a big one for me because like I find sometimes when people like are like so deep into something, like dumb questions, like if we're talking about the color purple and we're like getting into like really like deep places, like just a dumb question like what is purple, what is a color, like really almost like childish questions. um to just write off something like that, I think sometimes can contribute to confirmation bias. Like I don't think that was a good example necessarily, but this idea that it is important to ensure that all ideas are discussed openly and without judgment is something I agree with and think is important, and I'm grateful that this chat program brought up. Okay, so I think that's the end of this video. This video is on uh, the third answer to this question. So I'm going to do another video soon on the fourth one. Yeah, I feel like I'm doing too many videos and they're all kind of, well, I don't know. I think this is fine. I think this was useful and interesting because I can go back to this video as I'm working on other stuff and I can see these questions I wrote for myself, and I can use them in the future. So I think this was a useful video. It wasn't that long in comparison to all the other videos on this channel. So yeah, that's going to be it. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.